All right, guys, welcome to Aomori. This is the snowiest place in all of Japan. Luckily for us, it's happening to snow here. We got a couple feet down already. My warm gator blood, which is not warm because it's cold, has frozen solid. And what is this place? Introduce it.
We're at a prehistoric Japanese site. This was inhabited by the Jomon people, or if you're Spanish, Jamon. And we're gonna check them out. They were a semi-nomadic group of hunter-gatherers and early agricultural, it was a mixed society. It was very mixed, that was the whole point. They're known for their pottery. Let's go check them out. So as I'm sure we all know, the Jomon society was quite affluent. It was a very advanced society. They had mastered the art of pottery making and hut building. And we were just discussing this as we walked into the building, and we're looking out at about 2 foot of snow. Why would they choose during an ice age to live here? No, it was probably a push-pull by other groups, so they were kind of forced into this area, I assume.
Yeah, people move probably because there was a lot of food up here. There's a lot of deer in this area. There's fish just off the coast. Probably just ease of access to food.
And I assume they couldn't move south because of larger groups keeping them north.
So something I've noticed going around to these Japanese cities is they're all kind of just looking the same as anywhere else in the world. The buildings are very much bland. They just look like everywhere. But if they would just bring back architecture like this, Japan would really stand out.
Well, Lane and I are quite obviously waltzing, strutting our stuff in this winter wonderland. Hello.
Hello.
And it really gives you an idea of what these people lived in. I imagine it might have even had more snow during the Ice Age.
Yeah, realistically, if they still lived here, they wouldn't let that much snow build up on their roofs. They would probably come out at the warmest point of the day and try to scrape all that off, because having a roof collapse in on you from the weight of the snow would be irrecoverable in the middle of the winter like this. I think that would be pretty much a death sentence for that family.
Well, Lane, I'll play devil's advocate. I believe that the Jomon engineering was such that they didn't worry about the structural integrity of their shacks and instead saw the benefit of the snow and its insulationary benefits.
Yeah, I mean, based on a lot of other structures I've seen from around this time, I'm going to guess most of the building is actually underground. So they probably live a little under the Earth's layer. It's going to be dirt. I think they're going to go down a little bit.
Oh, it looks like maybe.
Everything that I've seen that's about this old does that.
Why didn't these people make igloos?
Might have. We wouldn't have any structural
Evidence,
proof of that.
yeah. What, you're telling me that it would have melted? Yeah, look at this. The snow is piled high. As a southern man raised in the canes of the Gator Farms, this is not this is not my element.
I grew up in very similar conditions to this, so this is semi my element. I haven't lived like this in years, 8 years, 7, 8 years, something like that. So not exactly my element.
Let me ask you guys something, and you can tell us in the comments below. We were thinking about going to Australia for a summer trip because it's winter here, obviously. And I said, no, it'll be too hot in Australia. And we looked at the temperatures, and it's 70 degrees every single day over almost all of Australia.
With almost no rain.
With almost no rain. So basically perfect conditions.
Most of those people won't know 70 degrees. You're going to have to check that in Celsius yourself.
Yeah, look it up, non-Americans. But would you guys have been interested in seeing...
Here's the entrance. Throw it forward.
Would you guys have been interested in seeing Australia instead of this? Tell us in the comments below.
Yeah, see?
Yeah?
They live down there. This is metal up above us. This wasn't them.
Yeah, so they definitely would have cleared the roofs. Interesting. That looks pretty uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't want to live like that. But being that this started, or is dated to 10,000 years ago, I suppose that's understandable.
Well, here's the other end. So yeah, that would have been the entirety of the structure. They would have been down there. I imagine the top part is modeled to look like what they thought it looked like, but they obviously made it out of metal, so it's not constantly collapsing in on itself and rotting, because if it was wood, it would rot.
Wood rot. I wonder. It's damp down there. I'm sure they would have tried to make it not damp. I don't know if they could.
Yeah, I don't know if they could either. They wouldn't have had mops or anything, so.
I wonder, they would have had furs.
I'm sure there would have been
A fire, maybe?
Not just no, because the fire would just constantly melt stuff, and if their roof was wood, maybe not. But yeah, they might have had a fire pit somewhere in here. But I imagine they probably had a wood floor that was raised up above the ground. Because if you're laying directly on the ground, it's going to take all your heat away anyways.
Yeah.
So you'll die on the ground. So they probably had wood that they lived on top of, just directly above that. So there probably was melted water down there. And that might have actually even been the water they drink, the water that naturally melts from the snow down in there.
Also, undoubtedly, they had furs that they would wrap themselves in and probably put on their floor if they
Probably
have it.
bears. We got a lot of bears up here.
Yeah. You guys ever seen...
This is all speculation. We're not telling you guys anything that we know for fact.
Don't give it away that we're not Jomon-ologists. Have you guys ever seen a Japanese brown bear? Well, check this video in the corner to see us eat a Japanese brown bear in a can.
Delicious, or
Umai! This is pretty cool. You see the...
I don't know the size of the people, but I imagine they weren't very large. Obviously, this isn't how small they would have been. You just want to minimize the amount of cold that can get in and heat that can escape.
Ugh, that's a squeeze for us big, fat, giant Americans.
So this is very similar to other like ancient housing dwellings that I've seen. So they have a little fire pit here, is what I'm going to assume this is. And they've got something up here, probably to store their foods, their meats, keep it off the ground. But they also could have potentially had stuff suspended like that people would have slept on.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I would much rather sleep in a little hammock. But then you're putting more weight on the roof.
Yeah.
Which is a structural concern.
Yeah, definitely. And if you look, most of the top is actually thatched bamboo.
Pretty cool.
Or reeds even. I think that might be reeds, not even bamboo.
You see,
So there's probably like a swamp or something near here.
You see, they got ventilation for the smoke, so they would be burning in here. Probably not in the other one since there was no ventilation. But one concern that I have: hot air rises. Obviously, they don't have a hole in the top, but it's still going out through there, and they put little things there to try to block it a little bit, at least stop the breeze from blowing in. Hot air rises, you're losing a lot of heat, I think, that way, but the ancients knew it better than I.
Yeah, this likely wasn't where they would live in the winter. This is probably like a summer dwelling. I'd imagine that they alternate.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's good in one may not be good in the other. Walking in a winter wonderland. I'm going to be the one filming probably the entirety of this video, by the way, because I have gloves and Lane doesn't.
Yeah, I don't need gloves yet. Those will be in a future video. You guys will be all about that.
Those aren't hills over there. Those are also houses. Houseies. Lane pointed it out. It seems like the workers got a little bit tired of shoveling snow because this is much deeper than the area over there.
Yeah, the entrance area is only maybe about an inch of snow right now. This one we probably got 3 to 4. Sorry for y'all you non-freedom unit people.
Good luck. Oh, is this in English at all? Doesn't look like it. Oh, it does. Ooh. This is a burial pit. Deceased adults were buried in pits dug in the ground. The pits are lined on both sides of the road facing each other. Isn't this a beautiful... We got some Nigerian followers. We know we got some Nigerians. We got some Indians. We got some Filipinos. You ever seen anything like this?
Yeah, you guys have never seen it, but our biggest demographics are Indians, Filipinos, and Nigerians. Not in that order. Nigerians are number one.
Number one, Niger.
Thank you all our Nigerian followers. We love you.
Catch up, India.
Indians are number two.
We love you.
We love you guys too. Philippines, you got to do better. Compete.
Oh, look at that. I can't zoom in anymore. My hands are frozen like blocks.
It reminds me of this ancient tribe in India that feeds their dead to birds.
Is that the platforms that what they look like?
No, it's just cement, but they used to do it on the roofs of like stuff.
Oh, look at that. Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby. Oh, now it's getting really thick, like 6 inches plus.
You think that's long?
Hey, that's above average, Buster.
Maybe in Florida.
Hello.
Hello.
It's really warm out, isn't it? Oh, summer weather.
You know, it's funny.
They didn't understand what I said.
No. Earlier, when we were walking and you said we were waltzing, immediately after that, I made a reference that only Australians would understand. There's a frozen lake down there.
We would go check that out, but no. We're not going to walk through this.
Yeah, I made a reference that literally only Australians should understand immediately after you said we're waltzing.
What's that?
And then you brought up Australians. You said we're waltzing, and I said Matilda. That's the reference.
Oh, waltzing Matilda. Ayo. Why don't they have traditional...
Children's graves.
Oh. Why don't they have traditional Jomon music playing? Don't we have recordings of that?
Hey, be respectful. This is the graves of children.
From 10,000 years ago. Too soon,
These could be
dude.
your ancestors.
Well. So believe it or not, this behind us, said by the sign, so saith the sign, was once a building of this size.
Yep, Jomon Towers.
I think it was a hotel.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Mo holes. It's literally snowing sideways at this point. So this is by far the biggest standing structure other than Jomon Towers, which is Trump affiliated, I think. And I think this was probably like a hall or something.
Yeah, probably a place that they'd come to eat, gather. Maybe the chieftain of the village might have lived here.
You're saying the hunter-gatherers would gather here?
Yes. They'd hunt out there and they'd gather here.
I want to point out that people don't give credit to these early civilizations, just the technology that they had, you know? This is a completely wooden structure. Obviously, it's very susceptible to fire, but they actually had a way to prevent that. Even back 10,000 years ago, they understood the risks of fire,
And they made sure
and they
that
took
everybody
precautions.
knew how to take care of it. Whether it's Chinese, Japanese, or English, they translated it so everybody has the instructions on how to operate it. And because this is such a snowy place, they invented snow shovels.
And plastics, so that they wouldn't rust.
Yep. And look, they even wired this place to have power.
They didn't want to sit in the dark like a bunch of cavemen.
It gets pretty dark here pretty early in the day, so...
They invented electricity and wired this place up.
And they even have an emergency shut-off for the electricity, I think.
In case there's an electrical
With
fire,
an
maybe.
intercom system attached. That's really good.
So before you guys start making judgments about the Jomon saying, oh, they were a bunch of cavemen, they were a bunch of savages, 10,000 years ago, that's such a long time. They enjoyed a lot of the amenities and safety precautions that we have today. And you can thank them for that. Lane, what do you think of these little grundles?
I think they're pretty cool. They actually use things like this to mark the bathrooms. They had a female and male one.
Yeah, like a caricature version of this for the male and female bathrooms. The different periods.
We're going back through a time machine.
Oh, so it's a, every 10 years is a person's height. or something.
We're going through a time machine.
Here's
Here's the Wi-Fi for this place. So this is as tall as people used to be back then.
This is a fully grown man with his dog. Oh, you got some wood.
Probably original pieces of those buildings we saw. Arrowheads. Obsidian weaponry.
Glass?
I think it's all obsidian. Yeah.
It's clear.
It's probably some type of obsidian. Crystal, it's crystal. Crystal nut arrowheads.
More arrowheads. This must be good. It's sitting in the... They were also Christians. Many people don't know that. But Christ was actually buried very close to here.
That's actually true. Fact check that.
Look up Jesus Christ tomb, Aomori.
So that people can't say that he's not standing upright. This is how tall they were back then.
Lane is about 5'6". Or is 5'7"? Yeah, are you 5'6" or 5'7"?
I'm 5'5".
Oh, so this guy is minuscule.
Look how big the squirrels were though.
Massive.
That's how they ate. They have flying squirrels here? Oh look, they do.
Yeah. That is weird. I never... That'd have been cool to see. Deer and boar. Millions. Okay. Flying squirrels, 39%. Ducks. Oh, that's cool. Oh, they have albatross. Anyway, tell us what you think of this pottery. Some of the oldest in the world.
It's nice.
This is pretty cool, like a big hunk of obsidian. I think that's just kind of a cool thing.
And it shows you our world is all, there's so much convergent evolution in humanity. People in Mexico were making their weapons, their tools, tens of thousands of years later, or no, thousands of years later, they were making weapons out of the same thing that these people were making weapons out of.
Yeah.
While some places like Turkey had bows and Europe had guns and China had guns, there were still people using obsidian.
There's actually a lot of doctors still use obsidian for their scalpels too. If something works, it just works.
That's right.
Roughly 15,000 years ago, a major eruption by the volcano occurred. Around this time, the planet began to warm up. Subarctic forest was gradually replaced with cool temperature, deciduous broadleaf forests, comprising beech oak settled. People began using pottery and arrows and forming settlements. The Jomon period of Japan begins. A warm current brought the bounty of the sea in a warmer climate. The sea level lifted.
Well, guys, take everything we just said in that video about the snow
That's what he said in that video.
and maybe throw it out the window, because apparently it was warmer here than it is now. Last stop at the cafeteria. I got some Jomon Tororo. Let's see if it lives up to the name of Jomon. I don't know what the deal is. It's just like noodles with egg. Let's see if I can taste the Jomon. I'm just gonna do a broth test, honestly. That's all that ever really matters is the broth. Because all the noodles are kind of the same. You know, they're noodles. Oh, wow. You can really taste the Jomon. Here, I'll do an egg split for you too. Oh yeah, look at that egg.
So I wasn't gonna video anything here at this cafeteria, but they had a little cookie shaped like their stuff that they make outside, their little icons. So I got this weird
Parfait.
ice
it looks
cream.
Scrumptious, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Scrumptious.
So I got this thing. There you go.
It's got like cornflakes in it too.
Eat your heart out, Jamonese.
Well, behind us here is the gift shop. If you want to get a knick-knack, a paddywhack, you want to give your dog a bone.
It supports the preservation of all this history. So I always say when you go to a museum, even though prices might be a little high at a lot of these gift shops because they are making most of their money that way, you should always try and pick up something and support them if you can.
That's
We're
right.
unfortunately really tight on baggage space right now, so.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff they have is like clay stuff, handmade clay stuff, and it would just break in our bags, so.
Because we've got another month ahead of us in Asia.
I like to usually get a book about the place that I'm at, but they're all in Japanese. So if you liked the video, don't forget to comment down below, like and subscribe. Tell us what you want to see next. Tell us about Aomori Jesus.